This is Tom Hendricks, recording on my phone because someone needs to document this. Someone needs to know what happened out here. The date is October 17th, 2024. Time is 11:47 p.m. I'm in my farmhouse, 17 miles outside of Waterloo, Iowa. My boys are with me. Danny's 16. Luke just turned 14 last month. We're alive. For now. I need to back up. Need to explain how we got here. How a corn farmer and his 2 sons ended up barricaded in their own home, waiting for nightfall like it's a death sentence. 3 weeks ago, the emergency broadcast started. Some kind of infection spreading through the Midwest. CDC calling it a rapidly evolving pathogen with aggressive behavioral modification. That's government speak for, people are going rabid and we don't know why. Started in Nebraska, they said. Livestock first, cattle going crazy in the feedlots, attacking the workers. Then it jumped to the workers themselves. Then to the towns. Small ones first. Places like Sterling and Tecumseh. Then bigger ones. Lincoln, Omaha, Grand Island. At first, Linda and I Christ. Linda's been gone 2 years now. Cancer. Pancreatic. 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. Sometimes I forget she's not here to help me figure this out. I'll be working on something, hit a problem, turn to ask her opinion, and find empty space. Empty chair at the kitchen table. Empty side of the bed. At first, I thought the news was exaggerating. Media always does during a crisis. Makes everything sound worse than it is because fear gets ratings. I run 240 acres here. Corn and soybeans, rotating crops like my father did, like his father did. I've got work to do. Harvest season doesn't care about your panic. The corn doesn't stop growing because people in cities are scared. My boys, Danny and Luke, they wanted to drive into town, stock up on supplies. They'd seen the footage online before the internet went down. Videos of people fighting in grocery stores, emptying shelves, hoarding toilet paper like it was gold. Danny showed me one video on his phone. A man in a Walmart parking lot beating another man with a tire iron over a case of bottled water. Just beating him. The sound of metal on skull. Danny's face went white watching it. I told them we had enough. We always kept a full pantry. Linda made sure of that. She'd grown up poor, Depression-era grandparents who taught her to prepare for hard times. Our basement had rows of canned goods. Beans, corn, tomatoes, soup. Enough to last us months if we rationed. We had a working well. Solar panels I'd installed 5 years ago. A generator with 200 gallons of diesel. We were better prepared than most. That was my first mistake. Thinking preparation was enough. The infection spread faster than anyone predicted. Not days, hours. By the time the governor issued the evacuation order for rural areas, all residents living outside municipal boundaries should relocate to designated safe zones. The roads were already packed. We tried to leave on day 4. Got 8 miles before we hit the backup on Highway 218. Cars stretched to the horizon. Just stopped. Engines running, people sitting in traffic, waiting. For what? Nobody knew. That's when we saw our first infected. She came stumbling out of the cornfield beside the road. Mrs. Patterson from the Lutheran church. I recognized her immediately. That floral dress she wore to Sunday services, the one with the yellow roses. But her face, Jesus, her face was wrong. Skin mottled gray-green, like meat starting to turn in the heat. Eyes clouded white, pupils dilated so wide they looked black. Mouth hanging open, jaw working like she was chewing something that wasn't there. She moved with this jerky, twitching gait. Not quite running, not quite walking. Something in between. Like a puppet with half its strings cut. She grabbed the driver of the SUV 2 cars ahead of us. Just reached through his open window and pulled him halfway out. Her fingers sank into his shoulder like his flesh was soft clay. The screaming, God, the screaming. Then more of them came out of the corn. Dozens. Moving through the stalled traffic like a wave. Like sharks through a school of fish. I threw the truck in reverse. Drove backward on the shoulder, corn stalks scraping the sides, branches snapping against the windows. Danny was yelling at me to go faster. Luke was crying in the back seat, hands over his ears, trying to block out the sounds. I could see them in the rearview mirror, the infected, swarming over the cars we'd just left behind. Pulling people out through windows, through sunroofs. The violence was efficient, purposeful. We made it home. I don't remember the drive back. Just fragments. The truck fishtailing on gravel. Danny's white knuckles gripping the dashboard. Luke's crying. The smell of burning rubber when I hit the brakes too hard in our driveway. We barricaded ourselves inside. That was 13 days ago. The emergency broadcast stopped 6 days ago. Radio's just static now, interrupted occasionally by automated warnings. Remain indoors. Avoid contact with infected individuals. Help is coming. But help isn't coming. We all know that. Cell towers went down 3 days ago. This phone recording is all I've got left. Solar panels keep it charged, but eventually even that'll fail. I'm documenting this because my boys deserve to have their story told. If we don't make it, if this goes the way I think it's going to go, someone should know we were here. We fought. We survived as long as we could. The infected, they migrate. That's what I've figured out over the past 2 weeks. Every night, herds of them cross through our property, moving west to east, coming out of the cornfields around midnight. Sometimes hundreds of them, sometimes more. I can hear them now, actually. The corn rustling. But it's too early for them. Usually they don't start crossing until after 1 a.m., but tonight. Wait. Danny's at the window. He's got the binoculars, the Bushnell 10x50s I use for deer scouting. He's watching the fields. The western field, the one that borders the Kowalski property. Or what used to be the Kowalski property before the Kowalskis evacuated or died or turned. I don't know which. Haven't seen them in 10 days. Danny just turned to me. His face is white. Completely white. Lips pressed into a thin line. "Dad," he says. "There's more tonight. Way more." I'm looking now. Moving to the window beside him. Taking the binoculars. The corn is moving. Not from wind. There's no wind tonight. From bodies pushing through it. The stalks are 7 feet tall, thick from a good growing season. Linda's fertilization schedule still paying dividends even though she's not here to see it. But I can see them swaying. Track lines cutting through the field. Not dozens. Hundreds. Maybe more. They're coming earlier tonight. And there's way more of them than I've ever seen. I need to wake Luke. Need to get the guns ready. The Remington 870 from the kitchen counter. The .30-06 from the safe upstairs. Count the ammunition. Make sure we're prepared. This might be a long night. This might be our last night. It's 1:23 a.m. now. October 18th. We're still alive. Barely. I need to document what just happened. While it's fresh. While I can still think clearly. While the adrenaline is still in my system keeping me sharp instead of making me shake. The herd that crossed through tonight, it wasn't like the others. The previous nights, they'd come through in groups of 50, maybe 75 at most. Spread out across the property, moving through the cornfield and across our land in a steady stream. Heading east, always east, toward the Cedar River 5 miles from here. We'd stay quiet, stay dark, kill all the lights, and they'd pass right by the house. Didn't seem to notice us. Didn't seem to care. I'd watched them from the upstairs windows. Studied their behavior like a scientist studying animals. They moved with purpose but without thought, following some instinct deeper than consciousness. Some biological imperative written into whatever the infection had turned them into. Tonight was different. Tonight, there were hundreds. I couldn't count them all. Every time I tried, more emerged from the corn. They moved in tight clusters, shoulder to shoulder, packed together like cattle in a chute. But the sound of them, Christ, the sound. Like cattle stampeding, but wrong. Wet sounds. Clicking sounds from their throats, like their vocal cords had been rewired for some other purpose. This low moaning that set my teeth on edge and made Luke cry. Danny saw them first. He's got good eyes, takes after Linda that way. She could spot a hawk at 1,000 yards. Could identify birds by silhouette alone. Danny inherited that gift. He was up in Luke's room on the 2nd floor, watching through the window with the binoculars. Luke was downstairs with me in the kitchen, making sure all the doors were barricaded. We'd reinforced everything 3 days ago after a close call. Furniture piled against the doors. Windows boarded up with plywood from the barn. Nails driven deep into solid frames. "Dad!" Danny's voice came down the stairs. Urgent but controlled. He's good in a crisis. Doesn't panic. "Dad, they're not going around us tonight. They're not following the usual path. They're coming straight at the house." I grabbed the Remington 870 from the kitchen counter, where I'd been keeping it. 12-gauge pump action. 7 shells loaded, 1 in the chamber. I've got maybe 40 more shells in the gun safe upstairs, but if this turns into a real firefight, 40 shells won't be enough. Not against hundreds. Not against what I'm seeing. Luke was already at the living room window, the one facing west toward the cornfield. He'd pulled back the curtain just enough to see out, just a crack, following the protocol I'd established. Never show yourself. Never give them a target. His hands were shaking so badly, I could hear his knuckles knocking against the window frame. I can see them, he whispered. Dad, I can see their faces. I moved up beside him, looked out through the gap in the curtain. The infected were emerging from the corn in a mass. The moonlight, 3/4 moon tonight, bright and cold, caught them, turned their mottled skin into something that looked almost silver. Almost beautiful in a horrible way. They moved in this awful synchronization, like a school of fish or a flock of starlings. Heads tilted at the same angle, arms swinging in the same rhythm, feet hitting the ground in unison. But their faces, God, their faces were all at different levels of decay. Some still looked almost human, you could see who they used to be. Others were barely recognizable as having once been people. Skin sloughing off, eyes sunken or missing, teeth visible through holes in their cheeks. The closest one was maybe 60 yards from the house. I could see it was wearing the remnants of a John Deere cap, green and yellow, faded. Probably a farmer. Probably someone I knew. This is a small community, was a small community. Everyone knew everyone. The infection had bloated his face, split the skin around his mouth. His jaw worked constantly, opening and closing, like he was trying to remember how to speak. Trying to remember what words were. Why are they coming toward us? Luke asked. His voice cracked. He's 14. Still half a kid, still changing, voice dropping but not settled yet. This shouldn't be happening to him. Shouldn't be happening to any of us. He should be worrying about algebra homework and whether Jenny Morrison likes him back. Not watching an army of infected stumble toward his home. I don't know, I said, but I was thinking about the soil, about the family plot out past the barn. 3 years ago, Linda died. We buried her in the family plot, the one that's been in the Hendricks family since 1891, when my great-great-grandfather first broke this land. My grandparents are there. My parents. Linda's parents. 4 generations of Hendricks in Iowa soil, 6 graves total. I've kept the plot maintained. Mowed the grass. Planted flowers when they're in season. Linda loved daisies. I planted 24 bulbs around her headstone. They came up yellow and white this spring, nodding in the breeze like they were saying hello. The infected have been migrating for 2 weeks now. Always east. Always toward water, rivers, creeks, the lake up in Hardin County. But tonight they changed course. Came straight at us. Straight at our property. What if they can sense it? The body's in the ground. What if whatever this infection is, whatever's controlling them, it's drawn to decay? To organic matter breaking down in the soil? What if we're sitting on top of exactly what they're looking for? The first one hit the porch. The sound was like a side of beef dropped on concrete. Heavy. Wrong. Meat hitting wood. I heard the boards crack under its weight, heard the old oak planking my grandfather installed in 1954, split down the middle. Then more of them, thudding against the house, against the door, against the boarded windows. The whole structure shook. Dust fell from the ceiling beams. Upstairs, I yelled. Now, move. Danny was already moving, taking the stairs 3 at a time, his long legs giving him speed. Luke froze. Just stood there, paralyzed, watching the front door shutter in its frame. I had to grab his arm, physically pull him toward the staircase. Behind us, I heard the living room window board start to splinter. Heard the nails pulling free. Heard Wood screaming. We made it to the 2nd floor. I pushed both boys into my bedroom. It's got the best sight lines, windows facing 3 directions, north, south, west. Strategic advantage. I slammed the door behind us, shoved my dresser against it. Solid oak dresser, 6 drawers full of clothes, probably 400 pounds total. Won't hold forever, but it'll slow them down. Give us time. The house was surrounded. I could hear them on all sides now. Scratching at the siding. Scraping fingernails against wood. Climbing onto the porch roof. I could hear the shingles crack under their weight. Testing the gutters. Pulling at the downspouts. They moved with this terrible intelligence. Not smart, exactly, but purposeful. Like they knew what they were doing. Like something was coordinating them. I went to the window facing south. Used the butt of the shotgun to knock out one of the small panes Linda had installed. For cross breeze, she'd said when she ordered them. Gothic style. Won't they look nice? Now I was using her decorative window as a firing port. Danny, I said. Luke. Get down. Behind the bed. Stay low. Don't look up unless I tell you to. What are you doing? Danny asked. He knew, but he needed to hear me say it. Thinning them out. We can't let them mass up. Too many, and they'll crush the house by weight alone. I aimed at the closest infected on the lawn. Middle-aged woman, blonde hair matted with something dark that might have been blood or mud. She was trying to climb the porch railing. Her fingers wrapped around the balusters Linda had painted white just last summer. I put the bead sight on her center mass, chest, between where her breasts would be, and fired. The Remington kicked hard against my shoulder. The boom was deafening in the enclosed space. My ears rang immediately, high-pitched whine that blocked out everything else. The woman went down, punched backward by the impact, her chest opened up. I pumped the action, smooth, mechanical, muscle memory from years of deer hunting, and the spent shell ejected, hit the floor with a brass clink. Fired again at another one. Male, young, wearing a shredded Hawkeyes jersey. Down. Pumped, fired. Another. Older man, overalls hanging off his skeletal frame. Down. The noise should have scattered them. Should have sent them running. Gunfire means danger. Means predators. Every animal knows that. Instead, it called more. They came out of the corn in a wave. Dozens more. Drawn by the sound, by the muzzle flash lighting up the window. They swarmed the house like ants on a dropped popsicle. I could hear them on the roof now. Hear their weight creaking the shingles Linda and I had replaced just last summer. We'd spent 3 weekends up there, sweating in the sun, her handing me shingles while I nailed them down. 30-year warranty, she joked. We'll be dead before these need replacing. She was right, but not in the way she meant. I fired until the Remington clicked empty. 7 shells gone. Maybe 5 infected down, maybe 6. Hard to tell in the dark, hard to tell if they stayed down. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Dad, Luke said from behind the bed. His voice was very small. Are we going to die? I wanted to lie to him. Wanted to tell him everything would be fine. That's what fathers do, right? Protect their children from harsh truths. Tell them monsters aren't real. Nightmares can't hurt them. Everything will be okay in the morning. But Linda always said, don't make promises you can't keep. It's cruel. Better to be honest, even when honesty hurts. I don't know, I said, reloading the shotgun with shells from my pocket. But we're not giving up. You hear me? We stay quiet when we need to. We fight when we have to. We wait them out. They'll move on. They always move on eventually. Except tonight, I wasn't sure they would. The scratching continued for 2 hours. The pounding. The testing. They were looking for weak points. Finding them. The house held, but I could hear it failing. Hear the structure groaning. Hear cracks spreading. My great-grandfather built this place in 1907. Solid oak beams cut from trees on this property. Thick plaster walls over lathe, not the cheap drywall they use now. Foundation stones pulled from the creek bed. It was built to last through Iowa winters, through storms that could rip sheet metal off a barn, through tornadoes that could turn a tractor into scrap metal. It could handle a few hundred infected. I hoped. Around 3:30 a.m., the sound started to fade. The scratching grew less frequent. The weight on the roof shifted, boards creaking as they moved. Then disappeared. I went to each window carefully, looked out through cracks in the boards. They were leaving, moving back into the corn, heading east again toward the river. Whatever had drawn them here, whatever they'd been searching for, they'd given up. For tonight, but they'd be back. I knew it in my bones. This wasn't over. Danny fell asleep around 4. Just collapsed, exhausted from fear and adrenaline crash. Luke lasted until almost 5, his eyes fluttering, fighting to stay awake, then finally closing. I let them sleep on the floor behind my bed, covered them with blankets. The same quilts Linda had made, patterns of stars and rings, stitched by hand over months of winter evenings. I stayed up, watching, the shotgun across my lap, waiting for sunrise. It's 6:47 a.m. now. Sun's coming up, orange light spreading across the cornfield. I went downstairs to survey the damage. The front door is cracked but holding. The frame is split on the left side, wood separated from wood, but the deadbolt is still engaged. The living room window board is splintered but not breached. 3 of the nails pulled out, the wood bowed inward, but it held. There are scratches everywhere, gouges in the siding deep enough to show bare wood. The porch railing is destroyed. 4 of the balusters snapped clean off, hanging by splinters. Out on the lawn, I counted 7 bodies. The ones I shot. They're not moving. Whatever this infection is, a shotgun blast to the chest still kills them. That's something. That's important information. But there are tracks everywhere. Hundreds of footprints in the soft soil around the house. Some bare feet, some wearing shoes, some wearing nothing but torn skin, all leading to and from the cornfield, all pointing at us, at our home, at what's buried in our soil. They found us, and I think they'll be back, more of them, every night until they overwhelm us or we leave or we die. I need to figure out why, need to understand what drew them here, because if I can't solve this, the next time there won't be 7 of them on the lawn. There'll be 700. October 18th, 2:34 p.m. I think I know what's happening, and it's so much worse than I thought. This morning, after the boys woke up around 9, groggy, disoriented, the way you wake up after nightmares, I made them breakfast. We've got eggs from the chickens. 6 hens survived in the coop. Most of the livestock is gone. The cattle broke through the fence 4 days ago when the infected first came close. They scattered into the fields, probably infected by now, probably dead or worse. But the chickens are still here, still laying. 1 egg each this morning. Small mercy. Danny ate mechanically, not tasting anything, just shoveling scrambled eggs into his mouth like fuel. Luke pushed his eggs around the plate with his fork, making patterns, not eating. Neither of them slept well despite the exhaustion. I could see it in their faces. The hollow eyes, dark circles underneath. The way they jumped at every small sound, the house settling, the refrigerator humming, a bird landing on the roof. "We need to leave," Danny said finally, setting down his fork. "Find another house. Somewhere away from the corn. Away from whatever's attracting them." "Roads are still blocked," I said. "We saw that ourselves. Nothing's changed." "Then we walk. Cut across country. Head for Waterloo. There's gotta be safe zones. Gotta be military or something. Waterloo's probably gone, son. Last broadcast said the infection hit all the major towns first. More people means more infected. Exponential spread. Cities would fall fast. Then where?" Danny's voice was rising. Getting angry, frustrated. Good. Anger meant he was still fighting, still had spirit left. "We just stay here until they break in. Until there's too many of them and we run out of ammo. Just wait to die." I didn't have an answer. Because he was right. The house had held last night, but barely. If they came back in the same numbers, or more, we wouldn't survive. Another night, maybe 2, then they'd break through. And then what? Fight them hand to hand? Run into the corn and hope we're faster? Luke spoke up, quiet. "Why did they come here? To our house specifically? There's other houses. The Kowalski place. The Morrison farm. Why us?" That was the question. The one I'd been chewing on all morning while pretending to clean the shotgun, while pretending to inventory our supplies. After breakfast, I told the boys I was going outside, to check the perimeter, to look for damage. Danny wanted to come. I told him no. Someone needs to stay with Luke. Someone needs to watch from the upstairs window. Be ready. I went out to the family plot, brought the Remington, kept it loaded, safety off. Danny stayed in the house with Luke, watching from the bedroom window, the .30-06 rifle in his hands. The plot is maybe 200 yards from the house, past the barn where we used to keep the dairy cows before Linda got sick and I had to sell them. Surrounded by a wrought iron fence that my great-grandfather installed when he buried his wife in 1931. Black metal, spear point tops, ornate scrollwork at the corners. 6 graves inside. My grandparents on my father's side. My parents, Linda, and 2 small stones for Linda's parents, who asked to be cremated but wanted their ashes buried here, wanted to be part of this land. The gate was open. I didn't leave it open. I never leave it open. I'm meticulous about that. Linda trained me to be. "Close the gate," she'd say. "Show respect." I approached slowly, shotgun ready, finger on the trigger. But there was nothing there. No infected hiding behind the headstones. No ambush. Just the open gate swinging slightly in the morning breeze. The graves had been disturbed. Not dug up, the coffins weren't exposed, the earth wasn't excavated. But the soil over each plot was disturbed. Compressed. Like something heavy had pressed down on them. Like bodies had lain there. Or knelt there. Or pawed at the ground. There were marks in the dirt. Handprints. Dozens of handprints pressed into the soft soil. Fingers spread. Some with nails still attached, some without. They'd been here. The infected. They'd come to this plot. They'd touched the graves. Linda's grave showed the most damage. The flowers I'd placed last week, daisies from the store in town, the last time I'd dared to drive there, were scattered. Torn apart. Petals everywhere like confetti. The grass torn up, roots exposed. The soil turned over in places, exposing the bare earth underneath, rich and black and fertile. They'd been searching for something, digging at the ground like dogs burying bones, like they could smell what was underneath. I thought about the pattern, the way the herds migrated east every night toward the Cedar River, always toward water. But last night they'd diverted, came straight to our property, straight to this plot. There's something in the soil, something the infection wants, something it needs. I don't understand it, don't understand the mechanism. Is it chemical? Biological? Can they smell decay from that distance? Or is it something else? Something worse? I spent an hour out there, examining the plot. The fence, intact but the gate unlatched. The graves, soil disturbed but not violated. I was so focused on the ground, on the marks, on trying to understand, that I almost didn't hear Danny calling from the house. Dad, you need to come see this. I ran back, staying low, using the barn as cover. Found him in the living room, holding the old transistor radio. The battery-powered, one we kept in the basement for emergencies. He'd been trying all morning to find any working frequency, spinning the dial through static and silence. I got something, he said when I came through the door. Not a live broadcast, but a recording, playing on loop. Someone's still out there. He turned up the volume. Through the static and interference, a voice emerged. Male, Midwestern accent, maybe Missouri or southern Iowa. Exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that comes from days without sleep, from stress that breaks you down molecule by molecule. This is Hank Grayson, broadcasting from Station 14, Iowa Department of Agriculture Research Facility, near Ames. If anyone can hear this, if anyone's still alive out there, you need to know what's happening. The infection, it's not a virus. It's not bacterial. We've isolated the pathogen. It's fungal. A parasitic fungus that colonizes the nervous system, takes control of motor functions. Similar to cordyceps, but adapted for mammalian hosts. But that's not the worst part. Static crackled. Then the voice returned, shakier now. The fungus is necrophagic. It feeds on decaying organic matter. But it doesn't just consume. It repurposes. Infected hosts are drawn to burial sites, to anywhere organic matter is decomposing in the soil. Cemeteries, old battlefields, family plots. The fungus uses them as vectors, spreads spores into the earth, colonizes the soil. We've detected mycelial networks spreading underground. Massive networks, interconnected, miles long in some cases, all connected like a single organism. The recording cut out briefly, then returned. The voice was fading, like the speaker was moving away from the microphone. Or dying. The herds you see, the migrations, they're not random. The fungus is directing them, using infected hosts to spread to new locations. Find new sources of organic matter, new soil to colonize. The networks grow exponentially. If you're near a cemetery, a burial ground, anywhere with significant human remains in the soil, evacuate immediately. The infection will find you. It will. The recording cut off. Just static and silence. Danny looked at me with wide eyes. The family plot. That's why they came. Yeah, I said. My mouth was dry. My hands were shaking. That's why. So we destroy it. We dig up the graves. Move the remains somewhere else. Burn them maybe. Cut off the source. Danny. I know what I'm saying, Dad. I know what I'm asking. But if that's what's drawing them here, if that's the reason they're coming, we don't have a choice. It's Grandma and Grandpa and Mom, or it's us. And they're already dead. We're not. He was right. God help me, he was right. The logic was sound. Clinical. Correct. But digging up Linda's grave, my parents' graves, my grandparents', it felt wrong. Felt like desecration. Like giving up the last piece of them I had left. Like admitting they were just meat in the ground instead of people I loved. We'll wait, I said finally. See if they come back tonight. Maybe last night was an anomaly. Maybe they got confused and they'll go back to the normal migration pattern. If they come back, if it's as bad as last night or worse, then we'll make that decision. Danny wanted to argue. I could see it in his face, in the set of his jaw. But he nodded. We spent the afternoon reinforcing the house. More furniture against the doors, the couch from the den, the china cabinet from the dining room, everything we could move. More boards on the windows, plywood and 2x4s, nailing until my arms ached. I brought up extra ammunition from the gun safe in my bedroom closet, distributed it around the second floor, made sure both boys knew how to load and fire both weapons, showed Danny how to work the .30-06 bolt action, how to chamber around, how to adjust for distance. Showed Luke how to pump the Remington, how to keep it pressed tight against his shoulder so the kick wouldn't break his collarbone. Luke asked me once, around 4 in the afternoon while we were boarding up the kitchen window, "Mom wouldn't want us to dig her up, would she?" "No," I said, hammering in another nail. "She wouldn't. She'd hate the idea. But she'd want you boys to survive. That's all that mattered to her. That's all that matters to me. You and your brother. Living. Making it through this. What if we can't? What if there's too many of them? Then we fight anyway. We fight because that's what we do. Because giving up isn't an option." Now it's getting dark. 7:52 p.m. Sun setting through the west window in streaks of orange and red. The corn is starting to rustle. Not from wind. There's no wind tonight. The air is still and heavy and waiting. They're coming. October 19th, for 17 a.m. We're alive. Still alive. But I don't know for how much longer. Last night was worse. So much worse than the first night. Worse than anything I could have imagined. They came at 11:34 p.m. Earlier than before. And this time there were more. Way more. I couldn't count them all. Every time I looked out a window, I saw more emerging from the corn. The moonlight caught them, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, turning them into this writhing silver mass. Like the earth itself was vomiting them up. Like hell had opened, and this was what poured out. They didn't hesitate this time. Didn't mill around, didn't test the perimeter. They came straight at us with purpose, throwing themselves against the walls, against the doors, against every boarded window. The sound was like thunder, like the house was inside a drum and someone was beating it with sledgehammers. The front door started to give around midnight. I could hear the frame cracking, wood splitting, the deadbolt groaning against metal. The whole door was flexing inward with each impact. Danny and I pushed my workbench against it from the inside. 800 pounds of solid oak with drawers full of tools. It bought us maybe 20 minutes. The kitchen window board splintered at 12:47. I checked my watch to mark the time, to keep track, to maintain some sense of order in the chaos. 3 infected started crawling through, their hands gripping the broken plywood, pulling themselves up and over. Glass cut them, but they didn't care. Didn't bleed right, just this clear fluid that looked like sap. I shot the first one in the face from 6 feet away. The Remington took its head apart. Skull fragments and brain matter splattered across Linda's wallpaper, the pattern with little blue flowers she'd picked out 5 years ago. The second one, I shot in the chest. Center mass. It went down but kept moving, kept trying to crawl forward even with its ribcage blown open, even with its lungs visible and shredded. Danny took the third one. My 16-year-old son with his mother's eyes and his grandfather's height. He'd never fired a gun in his life before this week. Linda didn't want guns in the house. Too dangerous with boys around, she'd said. Too easy for accidents. I'd kept the Remington and the .30-06 locked in the safe, barely touched them except for deer season, and even then, I hunted alone. Now Danny was shooting infected crawling through our kitchen window. He hit it in the shoulder, knocked it sideways. He pumped the action. I drilled him on that motion 50 times this afternoon, and fired again. Center mass this time. It stopped moving. "Good shot," I said. He just nodded. His hands were shaking. But he held onto the shotgun, kept it pointed at the window in case more came through. We fell back to the stairs, gave up the first floor. I knew we couldn't hold it. Too many entry points. Too many of them. The kitchen, the dining room, the mudroom door, the basement windows. They were testing everything, finding every weakness. We retreated to the second floor, blocked the stairway with the couch from the landing. Heavy leather thing that Linda hated. "It's ugly, Tom." But I'd insisted on keeping it because it was comfortable. Now it was a barricade. They followed. Of course they followed. I could hear them downstairs. Hear them moving through the rooms. Breaking furniture. Knocking over Linda's bookshelf, the one with her mysteries and romance novels. Hundreds of paperbacks hitting the floor. Smashing her grandmother's china cabinet. The sound of antique plates shattering. Heirlooms turned to trash. The sound of them destroying our home. It hurt worse than I expected. Every crash was a memory being erased. The dining table where we ate Sunday dinners. The rocking chair where Linda nursed both boys. The piano she played on quiet evenings. All of it being reduced to kindling by things that used to be people. The first infected tried to climb the stairs at 1:23 a.m. I shot it when its head cleared the couch barrier. Used the .30-06 this time. Needed to make the shots count. Needed to conserve shotgun shells for close quarters. The rifle had better range, better stopping power. The round punched through its skull, kept going, buried itself in the wall behind. And I only had 27 rounds left after that. 27 rounds between us and being overrun. Luke was in my bedroom. I'd told him to stay there. Stay away from the windows. Stay quiet. Stay alive. But I could hear him crying through the door. Could hear him praying. Linda had taken the boys to church every Sunday. St. Patrick's in Waterloo. I'd gone too, mostly to make her happy, mostly because it mattered to her. I never thought much about God. Never felt that connection. But hearing Luke pray, hearing him beg for help from something that might not even be listening, might not even exist, it broke something in me. Please God, please, he was saying. Please protect us. Please make them go away. Please let us see morning. Please. We held the stairs for 2 hours. Danny and I taking turns. Shooting anything that tried to climb over the couch. We got good at it. Developed a rhythm born from desperation. I'd fire, he'd reload. He'd fire, I'd reload. Like a machine. Like we'd been doing this our whole lives instead of just 3 days. Shell casings piled up on the landing. Brass glinting in the flashlight beam. Around 3:30 a.m., they stopped trying the stairs. Changed tactics. Started trying the exterior walls instead. I heard them on the roof again. Heard the gutters tearing free, aluminum ripping, screws pulling out of fascia boards. Heard something heavy hit the bedroom window. Then another impact. Another. The window held. The glass cracked but didn't shatter. But the frame was failing. Was splitting around the edges. They're going to get in, Danny said. He was reloading the shotgun, hands steadier now than they'd been an hour ago. Muscle memory taking over. Adrenaline converting to focus. Upstairs or downstairs, they're going to get in eventually. I know. So what do we do? I looked at him. My oldest son, 16 years old. Should be worrying about his driver's test and prom and college applications. Should be sneaking out to parties and kissing girls and staying out past curfew. Instead, he's fighting for his life in his own home. Instead, he's killing people who used to be neighbors. We do what we have to do, I said. We waited until 4 a.m. Until the sounds outside started to fade. Until the herd began to move on, their attention shifting, whatever drove them temporarily satisfied. Then I made my decision. Get your brother, I told Danny. We're going outside. What? The family plot. We're destroying it. Tonight. Right now. Before they come back tomorrow. Dad, it's not even dawn yet. The sun won't be up for 2 hours. They're still out there. I know. But if we wait until daylight, we'll lose our nerve. We'll think too much about what we're doing, who we're digging up. And we don't have time for that. We don't have the luxury of sentiment. I gathered the tools. 2 shovels from the barn. The good steel ones with fiberglass handles. A pickaxe for breaking through roots and packed earth. Lighter fluid and matches. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do when I got there, but I knew we couldn't leave the graves intact. Couldn't leave the source of attraction in place. We went out the back door. The one facing east, the one the infected hadn't breached yet. The yard was clear. I could see shapes moving in the distance, silhouettes against the corn, heading toward the river. But nothing close. Nothing that had noticed us yet. We ran to the family plot. The gate was still open from this morning. Still swinging in the breeze. The grave still disturbed, soil still churned. Start with the oldest, I said, my voice low. My grandparents. Soils had 80 years to settle and compact. Should be easier to move than the fresher graves. We dug. Danny and I took turns with the shovels. Luke stood watch with the .30-06 rifle, watching the corn. Watching for movement. Watching for the shapes that meant death. The soil came up easier than expected. Like it had been loosened recently. Like something had already been disturbing it, turning it. We hit 3 feet deep in 20 minutes. Should have taken an hour. 3 feet down, we hit something wrong. Not a coffin. Not the wood or metal I expected. Something white. Fibrous. Like tree roots, but thicker. Like cables made of organic matter. Like tendons or ligaments, but too large, too extensive. I pulled out my flashlight. Shined it into the hole we'd made. The white fibers ran through the entire grave. Wrapped around where the coffin should be. Penetrating it maybe. Spreading out in all directions underground. I followed one with the flashlight beam, tracing its path. It ran toward Linda's grave. Toward my parents' graves. Connecting them all like some kind of underground web. Mycelial networks. That's what the radio broadcast had said. Miles long. All connected. The fungus had already colonized the plot. Had been growing here for How long? Weeks? Months? Had it been here before the infection even started spreading? Had it been dormant in the soil, waiting? I thought about the herds, the way they migrated east every night, the way they diverted to our house. They weren't just searching for the graves themselves. They were searching for this network, this colony growing in our soil. They were trying to connect to it, to spread it further, to feed it new material. "Dad," Luke whispered, his voice tight with fear. "Dad, they're coming back." I looked up from the hole, saw shapes emerging from the corn, not moving away, moving toward us. Dozens of them, drawn by the sound of digging maybe, drawn by the disturbance of the network, moving with purpose. "Fill it in," I said. "Now. Fast." "What?" "But we need to. Fill it in and run. We can't stop this. It's too big. It's already here. It's already everywhere." We shoveled the dirt back into the hole as fast as we could. Didn't pack it, didn't clean up. Just threw dirt until the white fibers were covered, until the grave looked mostly normal. Then we ran for the house. Behind us, I could hear them coming. Hear their feet on the soil, their labored breathing, that wet clicking sound they make deep in their throats. We made it inside with maybe 30 seconds to spare. Slammed the back door. Threw the deadbolt. Shoved the kitchen table against it. Through the window, I watched them swarm the family plot. Watched them kneel at the graves. Press their hands into the soil. Like they were worshiping. Like they were communing with something underneath. Now it's 4:47 a.m. The sun is starting to lighten the eastern sky. Purple turning to pink. They've retreated back into the corn again. For now. But they'll be back. Tonight. Tomorrow night. Every night after that. Because the source is here. Under our soil. Under our home. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. Nothing we can do to remove it. We're sitting on top of a fungal network that's calling them to us. And eventually, tonight, tomorrow, next week, they'll break through. And then we'll die. October 19th, 11:34 a.m. I'm making this final recording because the boys need to understand why I did what I did. Why I'm doing what I'm about to do. If anyone ever finds this phone, finds this recording, they need to know we made a choice. We chose. We weren't just victims. This morning, we assessed our situation. Really looked at it. Faced the reality we've been avoiding. No more hope. No more maybe it'll get better. Just cold facts. Food, we have maybe 5 days left. The canned goods in the pantry, 12 cans of beans, 8 cans of corn, 6 cans of tomato soup. The eggs from the chickens if they keep laying. The venison in the freezer, about 10 pounds left. That's it. No grocery stores to resupply. No neighbors to borrow from. 5 days of calories, maybe 7 if we ration hard. Water, the well still works. Solar panels still provide power for the pump. That's not the problem. Water we have. Ammunition, 12 shells for the Remington. 19 rounds for the .30-06. Not enough for another night like last night. Not nearly enough. We burned through almost 30 rounds last night. If they come back with the same numbers, we'll run dry before midnight. Structural integrity. The house is failing. The front door frame is cracked, split down the middle. 2 windows are completely breached, plywood torn away, openings big enough for infected to crawl through. The stairs have cracks in the treads from the weight of the couch and the impacts. The roof is compromised. I can see daylight through gaps in the shingles. One more serious assault, and the infected will get through. One more, and we're fighting them hand to hand. And the fungus, the mycelial network under the family plot, it's still there. Still growing, still spreading, still calling them to us every night like a beacon. We can't dig it up. The network is too extensive. Trying to remove it would be like trying to remove all the roots from a mature oak tree. It goes too deep, spreads too far, connects too much. We'd need excavators, earth movers, a team of workers. We have 2 shovels and 3 people. We can't burn it. Not effectively. Fire might kill the surface growth, the fruiting bodies if there are any. But underground, protected by feet of soil, it would survive. It would keep growing, keep calling. We can't leave by vehicle. The roads are blocked. We saw that on day 4. Nothing's changed. Probably worse now. More abandoned cars. More infected wandering the highways. More checkpoints that nobody's manning anymore. We can't walk to a city. Waterloo is 17 miles. By road. Probably 22 cross-country. With infected herds migrating every night, we'd have to travel during the day. Exposed. Visible. And cities are probably worse than rural areas. More people means more infected. Urban areas would have fallen first, fastest. So that leaves one option. Only one path forward that makes any sense. Danny figured it out first. He's smart. Takes after Linda that way. She could solve problems that left me baffled. Could see solutions I couldn't imagine. Could think 3 steps ahead while I was still on step 1. We joined them, he said around 10 this morning. We were sitting at the kitchen table, the one we'd pulled away from the back door. Eating eggs that tasted like cardboard. Drinking water that tasted like defeat. I didn't understand at first. Thought he meant surrender. Let the infected take us. Give up. No, he explained patiently. We don't fight them. We move with them. The herds migrate every night, right? Always east. Toward the Cedar River. They're not attacking everything they find. Just places with the fungal networks. Places it can spread. If we travel with them, if we blend in, move with the herd, they won't see us as threats. Won't see us at all. You want us to walk alongside infected? For 5 miles. You have a better idea? I didn't. God help me, I didn't. I'd spent all morning trying to think of alternatives. Trying to find another way. But every path led to death. Stay here, die when they overwhelm us. Drive away, die on blocked roads. Walk to cities, die in urban hellscapes. At least Danny's plan had a chance. Small. Probably insignificant. But more than zero. We spent the morning preparing. Gathered what we could carry. Food that wouldn't spoil, canned goods, beef jerky, granola bars. Water in canteens and bottles. Ammunition, every round we had left. Changes of clothes. Linda's medical kit from the bathroom, bandages, antiseptic, painkillers. A tent from the basement, the 4-person Coleman we used for camping trips when the boys were little. Sleeping bags. Matches. Flashlights. I'm leaving the house. The farm. Everything Linda and I built together. The place where we raised our sons. Where we celebrated birthdays and holidays. Where we fought and made love and grew old together before cancer took her. For generations of Hendricks in this soil, in this land, and I'm walking away from it. But the boys, Danny and Luke, they need to survive. That's all that matters. That's all Linda would care about. She'd burn this house down herself if it meant saving them. It's 7:23 p.m. now. Almost time. The sun is setting, orange and red bleeding across the horizon. I can hear the corn starting to rustle. Not wind. Bodies. Hundreds of bodies. Maybe thousands. They're coming. We're dressed in dark clothes, black jeans, dark jackets, anything to help us blend with the shadows. We've covered ourselves in dirt, in mud from the creek bed. Rubbed it on our faces, our hands, our clothes. Anything to mask our scent. To make us smell like earth and decay instead of living humans. I don't know if it'll work. Don't know if they track by scent or sight or sound or some sense we don't understand. But we're trying. The plan is simple. When the herd comes through tonight, we slip out the back door. Join them at the edge of the migration. Stay quiet. Stay with them. Match their pace. Follow them east toward the Cedar River. Maybe we'll make it to the river. Maybe we'll find other survivors there, people who had the same idea. Maybe the CDC or the military or someone has established a presence. Maybe there's a cure, a vaccine, a way to fight back. Maybe, but probably not. Probably we'll die out there in the corn. Probably the infection will take us like it took everyone else. Probably in a week or a month, we'll be part of the herd ourselves. Just 3 more bodies moving east toward water. 3 more infected stumbling through farmland. Danny and Luke and I, together but not together. Dead but not dead. But we'll die trying to survive. We'll die fighting. We'll die on our feet instead of trapped in this house. And that's something. That's worth something. I'm going to leave this phone here. In the house. On the kitchen counter where we've been recording everything. Recording running until the battery dies, or the phone breaks, or the house collapses. So if someone finds this place, if someone survives long enough to come looking, military, CDC, refugees, whoever, they'll know what happened here. They'll know we tried. They'll know the Hendricks family went down fighting. I can see them now through the kitchen window. Coming through the corn. The stalks are parting like water, like the Red Sea. Like the earth itself is breathing them out. Hundreds of them. Their skin silver in the moonlight. Moving in that horrible synchronization. Heading toward the family plot. Heading toward the network in our soil. Danny's got his backpack on. 30 pounds of supplies. Luke's holding the .30-06 rifle. 19 rounds loaded, 1 in the chamber. My hands are on the door handle. The Remington is slung across my back. This is Tom Hendricks. October 19th, 2024, 7:46 p.m. We're heading into the corn. If anyone finds this, if anyone's still alive to find this, don't come here. Don't come to the farms. Don't come to anywhere with buried dead. The infection owns this soil now. It owns all the soil. Every cemetery. Every burial ground. Every family plot. The fungus is in the earth, and it's calling its children home. Just run. Run west. Run away from the water. Run away from the herds. Find high ground. Find stone where nothing's buried. Find a place where the dead can't call. And if you see 3 figures moving with the infected, a man and 2 boys, staying together, staying human as long as they can, don't try to save us. We're already gone. The Hendricks farmhouse was discovered by National Guard units on November 3, 2024, during a sweep of rural Warren County, Iowa. The structure had been partially overrun by fungal growth. Extensive mycelial networks covered portions of the interior and all of the family burial plot. The network was estimated to extend 2.3 miles in all directions underground. No human remains were found on the property. The phone containing this recording was recovered from the kitchen counter. The device showed signs of water damage and fungal contamination, but the audio files remained intact. Voice analysis confirmed 3 distinct individuals matching the ages and relationships described in the recordings. 1 adult male, approximately 45 years old, and 2 juvenile males, approximately 14 to 16 years old. Cross-referencing with evacuation records and missing persons reports identified the individuals as Thomas James Hendricks, 46, Daniel Hendricks, 16, and Luke Hendricks, 14, residents of the property. No bodies matching their descriptions have been recovered from the Cedar River or surrounding areas. On November 8, 2024, a patrol unit reported encountering 3 living individuals matching the Hendricks descriptions approximately 37 miles east of the original property, beyond the Cedar River quarantine zone. The individuals were located in an abandoned farm equipment barn and were successfully extracted to Forward Operating Base Tango. Medical examination confirmed all 3 individuals uninfected. Thomas Hendricks sustained a deep laceration to his left shoulder and moderate blood loss, but recovered after treatment. Daniel and Luke Hendricks showed signs of dehydration and exhaustion, but no major injuries. When questioned about their survival, Thomas Hendricks stated, "We moved with them. The infected. They couldn't see us as long as we didn't run, as long as we stayed calm. And they don't cross running water. Not deep water. The fungus can't spread through it." This information has been incorporated into civilian survival protocols. The Hendricks family was relocated to the Des Moines Safe Zone on November 12, 2024. All 3 individuals remain alive as of this report date. The Hendricks farm has been designated Exclusion Zone Echo 7. The mycelial network continues to expand at an estimated rate of 0.3 miles per week. Contaminated zone perimeter is monitored. No human entry permitted. End transmission.